When I feel like I'm staying in the shot, I get stuck behind. And when I feel like I clear and get out of it, I'm steep and over the top. So I just struggled to find that niche perfect spot with the irons where I feel like with a driver I naturally do it, which is interesting.
So we've got Christo Lamprecht in today, one of the young phenoms on the PGA Tour. He's from South Africa, 23 years old, 6 feet 8 inches tall. Definitely the tallest golfer I've worked with. I've heard some amazing things about him, how hard he hits the ball. Won the silver medal at the British Open. It's the best amateur. Second place at PGA Tour University rankings. So he got his Korn Ferry Tour card. Excited to kind of see what's going on and get a look at one of the best young players in the game. If you like videos like this and more content from MyTPI, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button below. We'll keep you notified anytime a new video launches. Give me your strengths and weaknesses in your game.
Weaknesses, I would say, is my iron game. Don't hit enough greens. Wedges aren't very streaky, but so yeah, that's summing it up pretty easily. Strengths, simply, I hit it hard, so hit it long. I would say my short game is pretty good.
What is your driver club head speed?
Mid to low 130s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
About 130 on average, I would say.
So you're not kidding. That is a superpower. Okay.
Yeah, it helps.
It definitely helps. What are your bad habits?
My hips have really struggled to fire all these years. Not fire, but more so their mobility is not good enough. I know that.
What does that cause? Like, what's your miss?
Majority of the time, right. But for me, I just feel like I get too disconnected so fast. Just because I feel like my body doesn't rotate constantly the same way.
Everybody comes for different reasons, but I always say, imagine you're walking down the beach, you find a bottle, you rub on the bottle, and a genie pops out, and let's say it's me. And I can give you 3 wishes today for your golf game. How can I help?
I guess understand why my bad habits happen in my golf swing in terms of my body movements. That'll be one. Finding a constructive workout routine while on the road and via off, just to get all the places I'm weak at, getting better at that. Yeah, and last thing, just finding out more about my body. Simple. Just preventing injuries, that's all.
Let's do gym first and then we'll come back. Yeah. Now, something easy for the big guys. Just kidding, squatting. Big, tall guys always have problems with squatting. That could be just because of the femur to tibia length ratios here. Christo had a really hard time squatting, and I really think it was because of the hip flexion. Like, it was hard for him to flex his hips, maybe the joints a little restricted. Toe touch was a little restricted. Again, really tall guys, kind of hard to touch their toes. His was more tightness on the right side of his body, almost like posterior chain, a little tighter on the right. Left shoulder was a little tighter than the right shoulder with external rotation, but that's not a huge deal for a right-handed golfer. We did see a little bit of forearm pronation was a little restricted, but again, nothing crazy.
Doing better than I used to do in 10th grade, right?
You're definitely not a 36, I promise. Left leg down. All your weight's on your left leg. Rotate that way. That's harder. You agree?
Yeah.
He did have a little bit of irritation in the hip joint itself, just like maybe a little inflamed. 32 and 35. That's 24. And that's definitely better. 24 and 53. Go ahead and sit up. When you rotate into your left side, that's internal.
Yeah.
So on your downswing, you're internal left, external right. Yeah. So you're 24 and 33, whereas this way you're 32 and 53. Yeah. You have more going that way. Yeah. So it's everything downswing. Well, now we're going to check some power. Oh, that looked pretty damn good for 6'8". We got into the power testing and strength testing, and something became very clear. His lower body was superpower, way above our normal average there, so I would expect lower body power to be really, really impressive in his golf swing. But then when we got to the upper body, it was slightly below PGA Tour average. He really had a strength deficit a little bit in his upper body. Boom. Let's see, we got 9, so that's 34. His strength is definitely dominant side. We got some non-dominant weakness there though. Okay, but big power. Think of it like horsepower. Okay. Compared to our average, you're 17% above your lower body power. You're 20% above your upper body power, 10% above your core power, your lower body. So what it does is it looks and says, if I want to make this even more powerful, what do you need more work on, strength or speed? And it says speed. It says you're plenty strong in your lower body, right? Now let's go to the upper body because that's the one where the problem might be. So compared to our average, you're 3% below power average with your upper body, right? You can see it's 17% below your lower body. Look where it says upper body. It says strength is the missing piece, not speed, right? You can see it's about 12% below tour average on strength with your upper body. So that gives me a good idea of like, hey, what we might need to add to your programs, right?
Yeah.
Rotary power here. Now it's looking at comparing power as you twist.
Rotation, yeah.
And you can see here, your dominant side, you're above average. I mean, it's great. Your non-dominant side, I can see you don't do much left-sided.
No.
You've got about a 13.5% more power on your dominant side than your non-dominant. I don't like that to be more than 10%. I think we should add some non-dominant stuff there. For health, like the third thing you asked the genie,
Yeah.
and also just for overall,
Yeah.
yeah. So one of the reasons I really like to look at these movement screens first is because it gives me insight into what I might see in their golf swing, right? And if I have a player like Christo where the lower body is the main power source and the upper body would be the weakness, if I was his brain, I'd use his lower body more in the golf swing. So if you see a player who looks like they're jumping or spinning with their hips and their upper body looks like it's left behind, it would make sense if the lower body is the power source. So it kind of helps, as a coach, as a trainer, to understand what the brain is going to want to go to by looking at their strengths and their weaknesses in the gym, because then a lot of times you'll see the exact same thing when you watch them swing. Now, if I see a restriction in the gym, like he can't squat, and then I see a problem with his squatting mechanism when he swings, well, that's the body swing connection we're looking for. Oh, beautiful swing. First impression, very unique golf swing, and I love unique golf swings. On the downswing, he has a lot of side bend and flex, kind of gets down, but I almost feel like he's so tall he's trying to get down to the ball. You can hear the speed. I mean, we're talking explosive swing here. It actually reminds me more of a long drive swing, where he almost gets to like a lunge as he comes through. So front knees bent. It's a really unique swing that I only see on some of our biggest hitters in the world. Wow. You got the long drive swing, that's for dang sure.
Highest ball speed, I think it's like 210, 208.
Driver?
Yes, sir. On the gate.
Out of the gate. We didn't come here to lay up, right? Let's go
No.
after it.
Double plate ready.
Go for it. That's perfect. We're going to do like 4 of those.
Double plate ready. Double plate ready.
You're getting me home in 2.
Double plate ready.
Okay, let's take a quick peek at that real fast. Wow, look at these numbers. Holy moly. Look at peak vertical. Look where the shaft is. Dude. Typically, the earlier you create your ground reaction forces, the more time you have to get it to the club. And Christo is doing this really early, literally right after the transition, which is, again, we see this with our long drive tour, not typically with our PGA tour. You can see why he's one of the biggest hitters in the world. I don't want to say anything I want to keep capturing, but you don't suck. Pretty good. Let's grab a.
Yeah.
Christo mentioned that he had this slipping in his swing, that sometimes when he goes after really hard, his right foot will slip back behind him. And I wanted to explain to him that, when you actually push from the ground properly, if I'm going to try and rotate my pelvis forward, I'm going to push back with my right foot and forward with my left foot, and that creates this torque. So the fact that he feels his right foot slipping out backwards, that's actually a superpower. It means you're pushing in the right direction. I wish more players would feel that. One of the most predictable variables that increases club head speed is total torque. He's got 64% of his body weight total torque, which is just way above PGA Tour average. So his ability to twist and to bend is incredible. Okay, I want stock 6 iron.
Double plate ready. Double plate ready.
So now I'm going to my brain thinking about what he asked for. He said, I've got this typical miss that I want to understand a little bit more. And his miss was more with his irons, and he felt like his lower body kind of got jammed. I want to look at your iron real fast. You said this is the main weakness. If there was a weakness, would be iron.
100%. My irons, from short irons, wedges to long irons, it's always been my weakness.
So I'm seeing this long drive swing with the legs kind of bent. I'm seeing some excessive side bend, almost bending forward a little more. Like we said in the gym, one of the biggest concerns was it was a little harder to rotate on the downswing. He had a hard time squatting, touching his toes, and limited upper body power. I really think the toe touch and the squat, not being able to maintain posture, makes sense that I might lunge more than hinge. What doesn't make sense right now is typically with a lower body power, I'd see more active lower body jumping, not buckling. Get that long drive, baseball, home run, leg finish thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the bent leg at impact is not very popular in golf.
20-yard stock chip. Let's go the short one first and then the second one second, okay?
Double plate ready. Double plate ready.
Go for it. Okay. Is this a strength or weakness?
Majority of the time, I would say it's a strength.
Okay.
My 50-yard, 50-yard chips, not a strength recently. But around the greens and like just basic chipping, yeah, it's a strength.
Okay. You didn't really ask me for any swing advice.
Oh, I'm all ears. Seriously, as many information tips as you can give me this week, today.
Tell me what do you work on?
I just lose control of the club face. So we're trying to figure out, first of all.
Let me just make sure I understand what that means. When you say you lose control, because that means different things to different people. Does it mean you're not sure where the way it's going to go?
It is majority of the time slightly, with my irons slightly out to in, and with my short stuff slightly out into out. But that, like, the way my body moves by what we look is pretty consistent. It's just I'm losing, whether that's steepness, whether it's club face stays open then flips, releases, or toe strikes and stuff like that's inconsistent. And for me personally, it's always felt like I've kind of been stuck.
He's having a hard time of syncing up his upper body to his lower body. One of the keys here is think of your body as like a whip. When you shake the handle of the whip, you want the energy to crack the whip. If you shake the handle and the handle breaks off, okay, there's something disconnected. And I think that's what he's describing.
Whenever I feel like I make a bad swing, I feel like I get in this position. Okay, so like
No, don't go back. No, just move yourself to where you'd want to be.
I just feel like I need to create space in my body.
Yeah.
My torso, my belt buckle needs to sync up better.
Yeah.
I'm really good at creating that power with my lower body,
Yeah.
but I'm just not good at syncing it up consistently. It's very timing based. So
Yeah.
when it gets going and I feel that rhythm and movement, I'm hitting it great. But the next morning I can wake up and it's just like it's not
Tell me
there.
the 50-yard shot. What happens there?
Whenever I hit a soft shot, and that's kind of also been a real problem with the wedges and the scoring irons, is soft shots it's either a short flare right or I kind of try to stay in it and I have zero, like it's just that super long flippy left miss. So once again, I just feel like the connectivity and the body rotation is not consistent enough.
It's like I feel like my lower body's doing one thing, my upper body and club face are doing something different, and I'm getting disconnected. Interesting thing is his torques are superpower, are crazy, but his vertical reaction force, I saw his maximum get to 190% of his body weight. PGA Tour average is 198. So for a guy who's got a superpower in the gym for lower body power and is below average with vertical, that doesn't make sense, but it kind of matches what we saw when he was swinging, that it looks like the legs might be buckling a little bit. He mentioned earlier that as the club got shorter, his problems got bigger. His superpower was driver and his irons were a problem, and even some of his distance wedges accuracy was a problem. So now I'm thinking, well, if your lower body's going down, this is one of the biggest problems with distance wedge control. I really want to see how he takes that energy and transfers through his body, because this could be painting a picture that's really important here. We need to do 3D before I open my mouth. Okay? You okay with that?
No,
That's
fair
it.
enough.
That's one more. Like I said, you have one of those very unique swings.
Yeah.
Like I said, I love unique swings, but like there's like 30 parts that make it unique.
Yeah.
If you change one, it could be disastrous.
Yeah.
Right? So I want to make sure that that I understand everything you're doing.
respect
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You're building an anticipation.
Yeah.
I love it. You want me to just stock driver?
Yeah, stock driver.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Double plate ready.
Perfect. Okay, so that's 4 with force. Give me home in 2. Go for it. Go after on this one. That was smoked. Wow. This is why I love doing 3D. Man, that is so efficient what you're doing. That's literally one of the best 3Ds I've seen in a long time. That is, wow. Yeah, we gotta be really careful because, like I said, you have a very unique swing that is like perfectly efficient. Like, man.
Yeah, that's kind of
Someone tries to change your golf swing, run.
Luckily, I'm really stubborn,
Good.
so I've been running for quite some time.
Yeah, no, you can always make it better, but like change? I mean, how many years have you grooved this pattern? With his driver, we're talking one of the most efficient sequences I've seen, right? Just perfect sequence. The timing's perfect, the sequence is perfect, the speeds are off the chart, way above PGA Tour average on almost all body segments. And the crazy thing is he doesn't slide. He buckles, he doesn't slide. But I mean, dude, that is so efficient. Now, if the iron doesn't look the same, this will help us a ton. But most of the time when you go to a coach, okay, most coaches have what we call a style bias.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I think that world's kind of going away, but there's still,
There's a lot.
there's a lot, right?
I still believe there's
What,
still a lot.
what you'll see is they'll take a video of you, they'll split the screen, they'll put whoever they like, and then they'll put you on the side and go,
This is where you need to get better.
here's where you need to go, right? Now, here's the deal. Sometimes that's great, but if like your hips don't work like his hips, your shoulders don't work, then you should probably have a different swing, right? So the question is like, well, which tour player should we compare you to? Our philosophy here is we don't think there's one way to swing. We think there's a million ways to swing, but we do think there's an efficient way for you to swing, and it's based on what you can physically do,
Yeah.
right? So what the 3D does, it takes all style bias out, and it just says, is what you're doing efficient? The way you create power and transfer power is efficient on a driver? The answer is hell yes. Like, I don't care what anybody says. I don't know how to make that more efficient. I wouldn't change a damn thing on that driver. I mean, just on the way you swing.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying the equipment can't get better, different things over here, and we can't make sure that you don't break down. But so far on the driver, I like what I see. We're going to see if that's the same thing with an iron. Like I said, if this wasn't as efficient, then it would make sense why you don't like the iron.
Double plate ready.
Well, I'm going to do a quick comparison of your driver to your 6-iron. So I'm literally looking at the two swings under a microscope here real fast. See if you do anything different with your iron.
My driver's been good for a long time, which is nice because it really has been helping me score or just be in contention or just help me not shoot seriously bad golf scores. But for me, the blueprint, what I like about my driver swing is my clearing ability is so good that it just creates space. And I feel like I can cover the golf ball better because I'm more in it and my hips are in, my head's on top of it. With the shorter the club I go, the more I'm in this position naturally. And I just feel like that's where the inconsistency, because now it's all up to my hands whether I like to flip it or I don't like to flip it. I just think historically that's been something on my mind that I've been wanting to fix, or just think that that's the reason.
Well, one of the big differences between them, there's not a lot of huge differences, but one of the big differences is on your driver, you're like almost 10 degrees more rotated open at impact. That's kind of what you just described, right? A little bit?
That's where I feel like with a driver, majority of the time it's not a two-way miss, where I feel like with the shorter stuff I get to a position of square, but then I just kind of stop rotating.
Yeah, what's interesting is pelvic rotation is within 3 degrees of each other. It's the trunk that's a big difference.
Yes.
When we get down to the 6-iron, you can see it. You can see the efficiency start to break down. Looks like his trunk is delayed or his arm is early. So his sequence, the timing of how he cracks the whip is off. That's the disconnection that he keeps describing. He knows what connection feels like. You can see it on the driver. We get to the iron, all of a sudden sequence is off. I'm going, hey, that doesn't make sense.
And I guarantee you when we go down the wedge, it's going to be more, because that's been my Achilles heel for quite some time.
A 50 degree?
Yeah.
Okay.
When I feel like I'm staying in the shot, I get stuck behind. And when I feel like I clear and get out of it, I'm steep and over the top. So I just struggled to find that niche perfect spot with the irons where I feel like with a driver I naturally do it, which is interesting. Because I think like the full wedge, it's similar. For me, it feels very similar to a full 6-iron or something. It's just when I start trying to fly it and just take the spin off of it and
Makes sense.
control the shot, that's when I feel like I lose. Or there's a big difference and I don't have the shot I want to hit.
I have a gut feeling of where I think we're going to go with this, but
I'm a big believer in the gut feelings.
yeah, me too. My preconceived thought was that the lower body was collapsing, so I really focused in on lower body up and down motion in the golf swing. And what you'll typically see in a swing is players will actually squat and jump in their golf swing. In transition, you're going to see them squat and then you're going to see them jump. With a driver, Christo does this. He actually gets to the top of the backswing, he starts to squat down and he starts to jump, but he doesn't jump up, he just stabilizes. With the iron, he squats down as he goes through his downswing, he just keeps going down. So the platform is collapsing out underneath him, so his arms just say, forget it, and they go. And I think there's where the disconnect happens. He's like, my trunk is stuck, like my trunk can't go, but the trunk doesn't have a stable platform to rotate on. You hit the shot, and then after, I'll say describe it, and you describe it to me, okay? Okay, what was that?
125 a gap wedge.
Double plate ready.
All right, let me look at that real fast. Let me go to 6 iron real fast, hold on. That just kind of confirmed what I was thinking. So what have you been thinking?
I just feel like it's got to be something to do with the fact that with the short stuff, there's a lot more time for where I pause here and I allow the club to do whatever it wants from 60 to 60 degree angle before impact and after impact, like this angle. I feel like my body doesn't move and the club moves a lot versus driver. I feel like I do a lot of motion here more. And then the softer shots I go, the more I stall out. And that's I've got a tendency of a high exit with my short stuff. Whenever I'm trying to hit a soft shot.
That's a really good way of describing it. I'm 95% confident. Okay, so a lot of times you'll hear me say I'm 100% confident, but I'm 95%, maybe 98% confident here. So I think we found the problem here. I got a player with a superpower of the lower body, and he's flushing the lower body down the toilet with his irons. We need the lower body to stabilize. It doesn't have to go up, but it sure as heck can't go down. So I think your superpower is also your weakness. Now, here's what I mean by that. I think your lower body is your superpower, right? We saw it in the gym, right? I see it here. The speeds that you generate in your lower body are off the chart, right? Like some of the fastest I've ever seen, right? Some of the force that you're developing on the force plate, some of the torques that, and we'll go over things, are just off the chart, which is awesome. Now, using the lower body as a power generator in your swing is a superpower. Using your lower body as a power generator with like finesse shots is death, right? It's kind of, I'm saying the same thing you said, but I'm just saying it a little differently, right? When your finesse shots, you need stable foundation for your upper body to work, and you don't have that, right? So the more finesse you got, like I'm glad you said do this one right here, it just got a lot worse on this. Now there are players that typically are great drivers, bad iron players, or great iron players and bad drivers because they're different swings. But there are certain principles of both that should apply to both swings, and having a stable platform to rotate your upper body around is one of those. Have coaches ever talked to you about how you go down in your swing?
I mean, yeah, I've always had that dip.
Why do you do that? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, it's a good thing to create power.
Yeah, it's a superpower, right? Why do you do that for power?
Because I mean, the only way you use power is using force from the ground.
If I said jump as high as you can jump, are you going to squat first?
Yeah.
Of course you're. We talked about it before. You're loading your body so you can create some superpower, and you're one of the best in the world at that, right? Now I want to show you a finesse superpower, okay? Okay, see this COMUD? That's center mass going up and down. So imagine I find the center of your mass, and I'm just going to look to see, does it go up and down, right? I want you to watch that number. What's it doing?
Going up.
It's going up. Keep going. What's it doing?
Staying.
What's it doing?
Still going up.
What's it doing?
Yeah.
That's a superpower. Okay, yours starts at 1, basically. Okay. Going up, going up, going up, going up. And now here comes down, 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 down. Now, that's a superpower in full swing, power, right? In my experience, when you try and take power off, So when you adjust flight shots, half shots, finesse over here, this leads to inconsistency. Christo, his superpower is his lower body, and it needs to be very active in his driver, and it is, and that's why he's such a great driver. Problem is when we get to the shorter clubs and the finesse wedges, what I don't want is I don't want that lower body to still be moving, especially not collapsing. I want it to be stable so the upper body can rotate, and I think that's really going to help him. If you and I, see that golf ball right there? Yeah. I said for $1 million, whoever can get closer on first bounce gets $1 million, right? Here's what we would both do. We'd go like this. Watch my lower body. Just watch my lower body. Don't watch what the ball does. What did my lower body do? Like, why would I go like this? That would make no sense. I just want a stable platform to be able to just swing my arm on, right? Yeah. So on finesse, like ultimate finesse shots, most of the best finesse players, they just very stable base.
Use their upper torso to stay
Yeah.
it, yeah.
This is going up and down, and I want you to watch this. This blue line right here. Okay, when the blue lines are over here, when that blue line goes down, you're going down. When it goes up, you're going up. Okay, so at the top of the backswing, you've gone down 0.2 inches, not much, right? Now, here comes your load, you're squatting, getting ready to jump, you go down 2.9 inches, and as you come through impact, I mean, it's just stable. Let's go flighted. So it goes down, and oops, it keeps going down, 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 then it stops. It's really difficult for the upper body to, like, it's trying to find its center. It's still dropping down. I feel like if we did what you did with your driver, like, you can drop, but don't keep dropping, like, stabilize it. I think your world will get better. So the good news now is we've got a player that's doing something wrong in their iron, but they're doing it right in their driver, right? So I really don't have to create a new motor pattern. He knows what it feels like with the driver. He's just not doing it with his iron. You know, if everything was doing this, I'd be like, hey, we got to re-educate, we got to relearn a pattern. But I'm like, Christo, maybe we should take a little bit of your driver swing and put it in your iron swing.
You made it a good way by center of gravity. I've never thought about that, but like for me, it's always felt like I was collapsing,
Yep.
collapsing.
Yep.
And I'd still be, then I'd start picking up where with driver, it would be collapsing and then boom.
So, because you said I feel like I'm losing space, which is one of the most common problems with great players, right? But normally, if this is the ball and this is me, when guys lose space, they invade the space here. There's no space for their arms, so their arms get trapped. And I'm like, oh, you must be in base space. You don't do that. You're going this way, but you're going down. The whole thing's going down. So now if I did this, boom, over here, and you're going, I got to figure out how to not do that because that's what it wants to do. When a player says I'm losing space, in my mind, I'm thinking early extension. In the gym, I saw he couldn't squat, he couldn't touch his toes, and those are the two highest correlators to early extension. So I was really expecting to see losing space by moving towards the golf ball, but he didn't do that. He actually moved away, which is great. But I think what he's really describing to me is that he's losing height. He's actually dropping down, and so you can lose space towards the ball, or you can lose height in the swing. And think about a player who's got 1.5 inch long clubs, starts to drop down too much. Now potentially the club's too long coming in impact too, right? And so he's almost losing space from a height up and down perspective versus a towards the ball, which is pretty unique. I don't think you should stop squatting. But at a point in your swing, you need to stabilize so that your upper body can do it.
Especially with a smoother shot.
Do a chip here, just with the 50. Just like imagine you're just doing a stock little 10, 20 yard chip, and feel like you're never gonna do this. Feel like you're going up the whole time. How weird is that?
It's weird for the strike here.
If someone tells you, here's the problem. If you understand the problem, I would always want you to try and fix it first before someone tells you how to do it.
100%.
Okay, so I'm always going to give you an opportunity to see if you can fix it. And then if you can't, then we can give you some ideas. Yeah. But you should be able to tell me how to fix it better than I should be able to tell you how to fix it. Come over here real fast. When the foundation's dropping, I feel like his chest, his trunk has nothing to rotate on, so the arms just take off. They just go and they say, I'm not going to wait, right? And this is affecting his distance wedges. This is affecting his iron strike. And I feel like if we can get his lower body, like he does in his driver, to be the driver of the swing, it's going to make everything better. Just a couple of little chips where you feel like you're getting taller. It's going to be a similar feel when we get to your flighted shots. A lot of times with players that already have a motor pattern, I just say, hey, Christo, I want you to feel like you're getting taller through your swing and see how it goes. Yeah. What do you think? You feel the difference in those?
Strike is a lot cleaner.
I'll go down on this next one. See the contact? Yeah. That's what happens when you go down. Look at the divot on that one there.
Yeah.
That was the first one you went down?
Yeah.
That was the second one. That was more than that one.
Yeah.
Right? These are consistent.
They're a lot
That's
better.
what you want. Stay up on this one. That was really good. When you're trying to create a new motor pattern, it's really important to differentiate the old pattern from the new pattern. I'll say, okay, try what you're working on, the good new motor pattern 3 or 4 times, and then do the old one. Just so your brain can separate the two so that there's no confusion on one versus the other. And you can see pretty quickly, Christo could see and hear the difference in contact, and that's when it starts to get exciting. Right, you got that feeling?
Yep.
I'm not saying you have to do it here, but it wouldn't be a bad thing to experiment. Come on over here. Do that with a flighted wedge. This is where you see the wheels turning. I can see it in his head right now. He's figuring it out.
I'm gonna stay down on this one.
Okay, you're going down this one?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yep. Not only just the sound of the contact, but the divot. You can see how inconsistent it was. Adding that variable of going up and down, I think was a big light bulb to him to see how much harder it was when your platform is buckling with finesse shots.
See, I just feel like, and that's one of the feelings that I've been disgusted with for a long time.
What's that?
If I look at my driver,
Yep.
exit, entry, planes and stuff, my driver exits on a great path and it exits on a money path.
Yep.
And the shorter I go with the club, the more like kind of disconnected, higher it exits.
I think your club's too long for you to go down and exit left. It won't. It'll bounce.
So the longest of time I've been like, oh, let's get left, but like that's even making it worse because now
Yep.
I'm going down and
Yep.
left. The club's just
Yeah.
getting more and more.
Your driver's your superpower. Let's mimic that with these flighted wedges. Don't let your lower body keep going down.
That just feels like it's going more.
It's because you remember now the club is not going to bottom out, right? You're not down here; it's up here. You have more space. There's a little shake and bake, little core control, and a little bit of mobility rotating left, right, with the lower body, right? So that kind of matches up with the buckle, with the legs we're seeing. Now I want to just put one last piece together for you, right? What's easier, this or this, physically? Remember we said it's hard for you to turn to the downswing with your, do you remember that on the lower body in the gym?
Yeah.
It's harder for you to rotate your hips this way. So instinctively, like if I was your brain, if it's hard to rotate this way, this is probably a little easier, right? The feeling of staying tall through impact. And by the way, you'll never be tall at impact, you'll just stop going down. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That was really nice. So I always say, if you don't like that, you don't like golf.
I just feel like I'm
Starting taller?
starting taller and then allowing myself to go back, but then also kind of feeling like I'm gaining back to how tall I was.
That's all I want. You do that and then go play golf, get a tee time. So I'm not worried about it being 100% right now. As long as he knows that this is the right path, he can feel when he does it right, it's the right way to go, then you know the player's going to work on it. So I always say it's really important for them to see the end of the tunnel. They can see if I do this, this is going to get better. And I think it's pretty clear Christo can see that. I mean, you can hear the sound of that. Efficiency is so good.
I feel like it's better body rotation too.
6-iron was kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
It
Which
could
makes sense.
It could use a little.
And
It
then
kind
that's
of, you know,
why I think
your flighted ones, you saw the lower body just kept doing this.
Yeah.
The driver came out and then flattened out. Your 6-iron came in and it kind of went right in the middle.
And it delayed a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like whenever my swing's being bad, this is
Yeah.
been more prominent.
If I'd lined up like the top short game wedge gurus, right, and I said, hey, what's the #1 death with chipping? I guarantee you, if I gave them all their top 3, every one of them would say in the top 3 is legs buckling,
Yeah.
chipping. You do that because we're pitching. It's like pitching quarters and you're going like this. I'm like, that's not going to work. So I hope this is pretty easy. Like out of all the stuff, that's I mean, I like everything else.
It's literally just been my scoring clubs the last. I mean,
I agree.
if you being brutally honest, the last 3 years, the only thing that's been holding me back is my scoring clubs.
Well, I think we know why. So I'm going to go through to go like, oh, makes sense. He didn't like turning here. That might add this. I'm going to make sure all that stuff is in the workout. I don't want you to have to think about it. I want to make it so the body's never part of the problem, right? What I really think we should do, and I'm going to treat you like you want to be number one in the world, okay? I don't know anybody who's got the number one in the world without the best team around them, right? So I do think that's your next thing is you need to put the right team around you. It sounds like you've got your coach already. We need to get the trainer and the medical that you're going to use. I'd love to communicate with them once we have that team, because that's what we're really good at, giving them the data that they can do this stuff. Dude, this is so good. Don't be changing a lot of stuff. This is so good. I mean, we just looked at everything under a microscope, and I'm telling you one thing. When you start to flight and get finesse, you go down. On your superpower, you don't do that. Your superpower's down here. Your body should drive your swing, and your arms should just follow, right? When your arms have to try and fix it, that's not your strength. And we don't want that. What a great day here with one of the best young players in the game, Christo Lamprecht. I love watching players who have unique swings, and Christo did not let me down. His driver numbers were just off the chart amazing. Incredible club head speeds. Came in today trying to figure out why he had this miss where his lower body kind of stalled and his upper body kept going, and it led to this weak right shot. We got into the 3D and the force plate, and less energy shots or half shots, finesse shots, his lower body just kept going down and kept buckling through impact. When the lower body can't stabilize, the upper body feels like it has nothing to rotate around, so it kind of disconnects the upper body from the lower body and the arms take off, and it created a sequence problem with his shorter clubs. Once we pointed that out and Christo felt what it felt like to keep the platform stable, his lower body going up as his arms are going down, right away the contact was getting better, right? And you could see the wheels turning in his brain, and that's always a great sign to see. Looking forward to seeing how he advances doing this. I think it's actually going to happen pretty quick because he kind of does this in his driver already, and I see a very bright future for Christo. Big takeaway today for most of us golfers, anytime you lose the foundation of your golf swing, it can take your sequencing and throw it off. You don't want to use your legs to try and take energy off. If your legs are collapsing, the body has nothing to rotate around, right? You need that stable platform for your body to work properly. So always maintaining a solid lower body foundation is key for all golf shots. If you guys like content like this and you want to see more, please hit the subscribe and like button below.